So welcome. I hope I'm not too loud. My talk is about monetizing your apps with subscriptions. And when Michael asked me about doing a talk on this conference, at first I didn't know what to talk about because WWDC was ahead of me. And I told him, well, let me see what I find at WWDC. But then it turned out during WWDC, I had an app myself that had auto-renewing subscriptions. And I went back and forth between multiple Apple labs, app review, ask questions, then got a rejection, so on. So all the experiences that I basically had there, I put that all together into this presentation so that you don't have to have these problems when you actually implement auto-renewing subscriptions in your apps. Yeah? But before we get to that, let me first introduce myself. My name is Oliver Drobnik. People on the internet know me as Coconetics. And that's my Twitter, you can follow me. I'm a full-time iOS developer and blogger since 2010. And also I double as founder and developer evangelist for a small social network called Broadly. We have a social network around products. So if you get bored during this talk, check out Broadly. It's on the App Store, iOS App Store, and also on the web. But hopefully you're not going to be getting bored. There's one more thing I want to show you. I actually wrote a book, yeah? And my publisher likes you all guys, so if you want to buy something of manning.com, you get 41% discount with the promo code mentioned there until July 23rd. And I have a special gift for somebody who gives some feedback about my talk on Twitter. Yeah, this is a copy of my book. I'll sign it, and you can win it. So I selected random the best one of the best comments. Yeah. So let's get right to it. Yeah, show me the money. This is a phrase from a movie, Jerry Maguire. And so the question: what can you actually sell? I'm going to give a bit of a review what you can sell via in-app purchases, because there are several concepts that you will find also, if you understand them, it helps you understanding auto-renew subscriptions. So the first thing you can sell, of course, is content, like additional game levels, for example. You can sell app functionality, like the app Paper sells you pens for drawing. You can sell services. You can have, for example, Evernote sells the software as a service of notes. There are a few things you cannot sell, though. Nothing real world. Yeah? Real world goods and services can't have that as an in-app purchase. If you are in a country that has Apple Pay, yeah, you can sell it via that, but not via in-app purchase. And of course, what you can't sell is unsuitable content. Yeah? There are some things that shouldn't be on the App Store, and so Apple doesn't permit them to be there. My favorite game is calling me. Yeah, it's I'm currently playing very much this one game, and there you see the in-app purchases they have. In this case, I pulled this slide up to demonstrate one kind of purchase you can make or can offer in your apps, so-called consumable purchases. And here you see the idea is that you buy lunch boxes which give you an extra boost in this app. And the more you buy, the cheaper they get. Yeah? But I'm showing this to ask the question, why is there no restore my purchase button? Yeah, it wouldn't make sense, because you want people to buy these, and if they could restore a previous purchase, then they could use the same lunchbox over and over again. Nobody would ever buy any other. So that's the reason why there are there's no restore button. Another example of a Apple Design Award winning game does not commute. This, of course, has a restore my purchase button here. And the reason for that is this is a so-called non-consumable. Yeah? The makers of this game decided if you buy this, you get to use it on all your devices. You can, if you set up a new iPhone, you can still use that premium mode of this app. Yeah? So that brings us to this list of classic in-app purchase types that have been in iOS since 2009, and the first one being a non-consumable. This is something the user can only buy once. Yeah? If he tries to buy it again, he gets a dialog, you already purchased it, it's for free. It is always presented on the in-app purchase receipt. What the receipt is, I will talk about in a few minutes. It gets synced by iOS, so if you have the same game or app on a different device, you get to use it there as well. And if you restore the app from iCloud backup, for example, you still also have this purchase. The second kind is a consumable. Yeah? The user can buy it as often as they like, or until the parents say, nah, stop buying that, yeah, it goes on my credit card. It's only once on the sales receipt, and it doesn't get synced or doesn't get restored by iOS. And even back in 2009, there was a third type. Can you guess what? Yeah, of course, subscriptions. Yeah. But these subscriptions, they are more or less the same as a consumable. You can see user can buy it multiple times. It's on the sales receipt only once. And it doesn't get synced and doesn't get restored, but I put 2 sweating smileys there because Apple actually expects you to take care of these yourself. Yeah? So if you submit an app with a non-renewable subscription and it doesn't allow the user to restore sort of his subscription on a new device, yeah, your app will get rejected. Yeah? And later these subscriptions were renamed to non-renewable. So they still exist, yeah? But those are the kind of subscription actually I didn't want to do anything to do with because they are much work, yeah, as signified by the sweating smiley. Yeah? So let's briefly review what is a subscription. Yeah? Subscription is an arrangement to receive something, typically a publication, regularly by paying in advance. And that's exactly what we want. We want the user to be paying us in advance and regularly. Yeah? It's also a signature, a short piece of writing at the end of a document, in other words, a signature. And subscription comes from the Latin word subscribere, meaning to writing below, and that's also where the verb subscribes comes from. So again, to subscribe means arrange to receive something, typically a publication, regularly by paying in advance. Yeah? Paying in advance regularly, that's what we like. It's also expressing agreement with an idea or proposal. So I hope that you, at the end of this talk, will subscribe to the idea that subscriptions are a great thing. Yeah? And also to sign a will, contract, or other document. Yeah? So from 2009, it stayed until 2011 when Apple introduced Newsstand in iOS 5. And with that, they wanted to support the business models of magazines like Wired or New York Times, and to tap into these revenues that are collected there. So besides the already existing non-renewing subscription kind, they invented auto-renewing and free subscriptions. And you can see there are many check marks there. Those are sort of the full service subscriptions, and the difference is only the free ones are free. Yeah, so because it's free, the user subscribes once and keeps it. Yeah, and with the auto-renewable, I made a clock emoji there to signify that that's actually the thing that's interesting, that it gets automatically renewed periodically. Initially, auto-renewable subscriptions were restricted to periodicals, yeah, magazines, newspapers. But over the last several years, this has been sort of eroded, yeah, and that's what I'm symbolizing by this crumbling of the newsstand icon. Nowadays, auto-renewable subscriptions can be used for any kind of app. Yeah? So even productivity apps, and the app that was sort of the impetus for this talk is indeed a productivity app that I made, and I put it on the App Store, and it's got auto-renewable subscriptions, and that's why we love it. You see this, the smiley shows that. Now, there are several conditions, though. Yeah? It's not so easy, yeah? And that's also the reason why I'm doing this talk, because if it were easy, yeah, you would find this information on the internet, but this information you can only get from me. So you're at a great place at the right time. And one of those conditions is If you are offering some content packages in your app, yeah, like non-consumable pack of this, pack of this, pack of this, yeah. If you want to switch or add auto-renewable subscriptions, the user has to have access to all the content of your app. So you can't combine that anymore. Yeah? So if they had sort of, they call it a la carte, yeah? You pick things from the menu initially. If you switch to a subscription model, you can't try to sell him these non-consumables anymore, because it's either everything subscription or everything a la carte. Yeah? And the second thing is there's quite some work you have to do with your App Store description. Yeah? There need to be details about what the subscription entails, what features the user gets when he subscribes, what the different durations are and what they cost. You need to have a link to the privacy policy, and you need to have a privacy policy. Yeah? And you also need to have quite some extensive text how auto-renewable subscriptions work. Yeah? So you might think, okay, well, that's something for Apple to tell the user. No. Unfortunately, well, when I had my app approved, yeah, I didn't have it approved. I mean, when it went through the approval process, the first thing I got was a metadata rejection, because I was missing all these things. Yeah? And on the next slide, I'm going to show how my text ended up being. And there's one more thing I learned. An app cannot be transferred to another developer account if it has auto-renewable subscriptions. Yeah? I developed the app originally on my company's account. My plan was to get it approved by Apple, hold it back, and then at the end, for actual publication, transfer it to the account of my client. But that was not possible because of this restriction. It's a technical thing, they just can't do it. Yeah? So what I had to do is make a new app with basically the same code, different name, different identifiers, and then I got that approved. And so don't think that this is possible. As soon as you add an in-app purchase with a subscription, you no longer can transfer it. I think the reason might be that Apple doesn't want you to amass many paying users and then sell this app to somebody else, so basically selling the users. That's my theory. Yeah? And this is how my App Store description looks like. Well, of course, there's some description at the top about what the app does, but you see here things like these auto-renewing subscription terms. You can actually type in a few words like that on Google, and you find all the other apps that have auto-renewable subscriptions also have a kind of similar text like that. Yeah? And all the points except the first two, yeah, are actually text that Apple provided. Yeah? In the metadata rejection, which they sent me also, you should put in this text. Yeah? And so the one thing that I did is added a line. The subscription allows the app to download data from the website so that the user knows what it does. And then the two subscription durations available, 1 month with $2 equivalent and 1 year with $18 equivalent. That's something that I put in. And also the view the privacy policy yeah, that I put that in, but everything else comes from Apple. And this, you need to have that, or else you get a metadata rejection. Yeah? Why do they have this requirement? The app review guy that I talked in the app review lab told me, well, it's a tricky thing getting money all the time from a client, so they want to be extra careful that the user knows what he's signing up for. And that's the reason. So, case study. Yeah? So, what was it that I was putting on the App Store? Well, it was an app for a small German company that had about 10,000 partners, yeah, independent from them, that had iOS devices. The app syncs data with the internet. It should be possible for these partners to try out the app for free, and then after a certain trial time to pay for its use. And since I was by myself developing the prototype for this app, and I'm an iOS developer, I told you, since 2010. I don't do web development, yeah, that's black magic to me. Yeah, I prefer not to do that. So I didn't want to have any additional server backend. It was a requirement for me. Yeah? So in terms of user experience, yeah, the user, as soon as the app determines he wants to download data and he doesn't have a subscription, sees this screen, and it tells him that a paid subscription is required to retrieve data. Please select the subscription option. These are the two options that I've configured in the in-app purchase for this app, in-app purchase for this app on iTunes, and the prices, the localized prices, come from there. And of course, I'm giving some discount on the yearly option because that means I get more money up front. Yeah? If the user decides on something, he gets this dialog to confirm the subscription in between entering his iTunes credentials or using the thumbprint if supported. And when he's done, he gets a nice thank you note. Note that here's a button manage. I'll mention that in a second. And after the user has clicked OK here, he gets also an email detailing this is what you bought. This is what you agreed on, so that there can never be any doubt that that he's entered into an agreement that goes on and will keep billing him. Yeah? So speaking of managing subscriptions, yeah, the button you saw there before, if you push that, you get to this view. And this view is actually hidden in Settings, iTunes, then you click on your Apple ID and View Apple ID, and there's a section, Subscriptions, and if you then click on the subscription by the name of this app, you see this. And in this case, you see that there's still a free trial going on until 18th of June. The current selected plan is the monthly plan, and there's the switch to disable auto-renewal. So if a user trials the app, until the end of the free trial, he's not charged anything. And he can flip the switch and will never be charged anything because he doesn't get a subscription or doesn't get this automatic renewal. But once the time is up, trial time is up, then it automatically renews with the chosen plan, and then the trial is over. Yeah? So if you click on subscriptions here, so to get back, yeah, you see a list of all the other plans there are. You see I have a couple of expired ones. And to this screen, you can also get from inside your app. There's a URL you can call from the app if you want to provide a manage button yourself, and the user will get there and can manage the plan, disable the automatic renewal, and so on and so forth. So initially, when they got started with auto-renewing descriptions, one of the first apps to try that and actually fail with that was Marco Arment with Instapaper. And there was this dreaded marketing opt-in screen. Yeah? And this is in German, but I promise you it's not less intimidating if it's in English. What is this about? This is called marketing opt-in. Yeah? It essentially says in English, share your information. The publisher of would like your name, email, and zip code for use in accordance with their privacy policy. And we developers of productivity apps cry out in terror, oh my God, I never want anything from my users that shocks my users. Probably nobody would ever start a subscription with that. Well, the thing is, even if you click on not approve, which is the upper button, yeah, it doesn't matter, the user still gets a subscription. But this is this was the thing that stressed several developers initially. But actually, this dialogue has to do with Newsstand. If you don't opt into Newsstand for your productivity app, because you don't need to, because it's not a magazine, then all of this goes away and doesn't appear anymore. But rather, you get a nice email from the app review team that informs you that the marketing opt-in is not possible for your app. Yoo-hoo! Yeah. I learned during this WWDC that this is actually a manual process. When the app review team reviews the app, and sees it's not newsstand, then they need to manually flip a switch to disable this marketing opt-in dialog. Yeah? And if you still see it after approval, after your app is live, then an error has happened. And then you need to email appreview@apple.com to get them to disable that. So no worries, marketing opt-in doesn't interest us, and it's also never going to show to your users to confuse them. Now, one thing that's great about auto-renewing subscriptions is that we don't need to care about at all about is a subscription active or not. All of that is done by Apple. And let me briefly explain what goes into that. So after an initial free trial, which starts, it might turn into a paid subscription. Then, in the case of a newsstand app, you might have the marketing opt-in period where you, as a user, get additional days for providing your information that expires somewhere. And a few days before this expiration date, something starts that's called the pre-flight. And during this time, Apple sees if there's any problems with the automatic renewal. And if there are, they will inform the user, like credit card doesn't work or something. And within 24 hours before the expiration date and time, it will actually be automatically renewed so that there's never any interruption. So hopefully another paid subscription starts right at that time. But there's also the possibility that it doesn't work out, so the subscription becomes inactive. But the user can always buy another subscription, so even then a paid subscription can start again. So the user, if he lets his subscription lapse, and doesn't need it for a while, after a while he can get a new paid subscription. And how does this look if you don't have a newsstand app? Of course, the whole thing shrinks a little bit together. So I've made here a table of what kind of free trial durations are available. Initially, I and my client, we thought we wanted to do 2 weeks free trial. Turns out that's not possible. These are the combinations that are possible. So if you offer a monthly subscription, you can have 7 days or 1 month free trial, and then you have the subscriptions going on for that time. And if you have a yearly or annual subscription, you can have 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. Another question, of course, is how do you test that? And for testing purposes, the durations of the automatic renewals are compressed. So if somebody buys in the sandbox a 1 week subscription, it actually only lasts 3 minutes. And iTunes will automatically renew subscriptions up to 6 times and then lets them expire. So this way you can test all the variants, when does it expire, and what do I do if the user then doesn't have a subscription. Now, the thing that I've mentioned before several times is this concept of the receipt. So what is this receipt? The full name of it is Universal App Receipt. And the Universal App Receipt is a binary file that's in the app bundle since iOS 7. It's a PKCS7 container with a signature by Apple to make it impossible to fake. Container and payload are in ASN1 format. It contains the receipt for both the app and all in-them purchases that are non-consumable. And non-renewable subscriptions. You remember those were the ones with the 1x in the receipt field. All others that have the infinite symbol, they will continue to be in this receipt. And the great thing about this receipt is as soon as an app is installed on a new device, it comes with this receipt. So you immediately have all the information you need to know. Is there an active subscription or not? You don't have to have a dialog that says restore purchases or something. So that's the great thing about this receipt. If it doesn't exist, though, there are some cases where the receipt isn't present, like if you build and run the app from Xcode, or you restore it from a local backup, yeah, then you can refresh the receipt, and we're going to touch that a few slides in the future. Yeah. So the first question is, how do I get the receipt? Yeah, if it's in the app bundle. Now, quite simply, you get the main bundle, you get the URL for this file, yeah, which is a file URL, and then you just get the data with contents of this URL, and you have the data, have a data blob with this information. So next question is, how do I validate? How do I know that these receipts are valid? How do I know that there's an active subscription? Well, the one method that I mentioned before that I didn't want to do because I'm a small-time developer is, of course, to use the internet. So if you have your app, yeah, and you have the receipt, and there's an iTunes server that allows a validation of these receipts, you might be tempted to directly talk to iTunes. Yeah? But Apple strictly says you shouldn't do that, because there are ways on jailbroken devices to do a man in the middle to fake the response. You don't want that. You don't control the side of iTunes. You cannot ever make sure that you're actually talking to iTunes and not some man in the middle, so never do that. Yeah? Rather, you should send the receipt to your own server that you trust, yeah? Where you can do some certificate pinning and make sure that you are actually talking to your own server. And then you can send the receipt plus a shared secret, which you set up on iTunes to iTunes. And you get back a JSON response, which is essentially the JSON representation of the contents of the receipt. Yeah, so you see all the fields that are in there, and you also get a status, receipt is valid or not. Yeah. So the shared secret is configured on iTunes Connect. One thing that makes it a bit difficult is that different iTunes URLs for production and test, so you would need to know which one are you talking about, and it also requires a server backend and web development. So for a small biz, it might be too much effort. Yeah? Sweaty smiley again. And I've seen, unfortunately, there are some StoreKit helpers on GitHub which are doing exactly that. They make an NSURL connection to the iTunes server, and that's really bad. Yeah? You shouldn't be using one of those helper classes. Yeah? Which brings us to the thing that I actually want to talk about, because that's something I developed. Didn't take me too much time, but I think it's well worth it to be able to validate these receipts right on the device. So how do you go about parsing these receipts? I told you it's a binary file in ASN1 format. Well, there are multiple options. You can either use OpenSSL. Yeah? The options there is either to get a static library or to use CocoaPods. Yeah? The second option that's recommended by Apple is to use an open source tool named ASN1C, which is on GitHub. You can compile and add to your app, and essentially it compiles, it creates C code which allows you to read the receipt file, but that's also not what I did. I wrote my own parser. Some time ago, I wanted to look into certificates, and certificates are also in PKCS7 containers. So yeah, I whipped together a parser that's also open source on GitHub, and this is what I use to pick out the fields from the receipt. So what fields are there? Yeah. So if you look at the entire binary file, yeah, of course there's the signature at the bottom. If you have the signature, you also have the intermediary certificates that allow you to validate the signature, and then there's the payload. The payload is like, again, a binary blob, which you can parse as ASN1, and there you have multiple fields, and the structure is always the same. You have a type, which is a number, a version, which is a number, and then a value, which is data. And so some of the useful fields in there are the bundle identifier, app version, and so on. And there's a special case of a receipt field, that's the one with number 17, which is an in-app purchase. So you can have multiple 17 ones, and each of these then has fields that are relevant for this individual in a purchase. And the thing that's interesting here, or interests us the most, is 1708, which is the subscription expiration date, yeah, which you cannot get any other way except talking to Apple servers and getting the JSON. But this way you can get it locally within the app too. So let's have a quick look. How do you actually go about to do that in code? Yeah? I have a small wrapper, a purchase receipt, which is essentially has already passed the ASN1 file and filled in some properties with these field values. So the first step I do is, if there is no receipt, yeah, then, well, I have a problem. I need to refresh. I need to ask iTunes for an updated receipt. Yeah? Next step is to see if the bundle identifier of the receipt actually matches my own app's bundle identifier, because the receipt could be from a different app. There was a way initially for people to, on jailbroken devices, to copy a receipt over from another app and thus make you believe, I've got a receipt, I'm a valid app. Yeah? So by making sure that the bundle identifier matches up, you know, okay, this receipt is actually for this app. In one document, Apple mentions you might even want to compare with a static string. Yeah? So for the bundle identifier, yeah, you might want to do that because that doesn't change so much. But not for the third step. I couldn't be bothered. But you could also, as I said, compare the bundle version with a static string. In this case, I'm only going as far as comparing the app version that's in the receipt with the one that's in the info dictionary of the main bundle. Yeah, works fine. So the fourth step is a bit more involved. Yeah. Because it's essentially checking the SHA-1 of the receipt. And the SHA-1 is a combination of the vendor identifier that's concatenated into this SHA data. Then it adds an opaque value, which is some random string that's in the receipt, which you pick out, that also is added to the hash data. And then finally, the bundle identifier data is also added. Then we calculate the SHA-1. Yeah, I've got a helper method here that uses common crypto to get the SHA-1. And this SHA-1 hash needs to match up with the one that's in the receipt. And if we got until here, yeah, then we actually know that we have a valid receipt. I skip one small detail I need to mention too. I didn't validate the signature of the PKCS7 container. Yeah, this is a bit more involved, but I found in practice, yeah, this is an app that won't get used by so many people. Yeah, maximum maybe 10,000. So I didn't need to go through the extra security of making sure that everything is perfectly secure. Yeah, the thing that I'm interested here is actually to know if there's a subscription or not. I don't fear that there's going to be some jailbreaking going on. So the second question is, what happens if you find that a receipt is not valid? Well, then you treat it as not existent, and you again refresh it from iTunes. Yeah. So how do you refresh a receipt? Well, you just do a skey receipt request. Yeah. Set yourself as a delegate. In this case, I did that in a subscription manager class that has all the logic for dealing with the subscription. And then you start it. And this starting actually prompts the user for his credentials. So that is something, you shouldn't do that kind of immediately, always at the beginning of the app, but you should do it when there's some action that the user performs. And one recommendation I got by an Apple engineer is to actually show a dialog that says, there is a problem with your receipt, would you like to refresh it now? And if the person says no, then, well, he doesn't get to download his data or his content. And if he says yes, then they are aware that they clicked on something, and as a reaction to that, they got the iTunes login dialog. Yeah? That's one way to do it. Yeah? So we have two delegate methods that we need. We need, when the request did finish comes in, we need to see, was it actually the refresh request that we did? And in this case, we know, yeah, we got a new receipt now, so we can go through the parsing and checking again. Yeah? And if not, there's this other case that you're refreshing your products. Yeah? So this you would handle there. Yeah? So depending on the class. And the same for the error case. Yeah? It could either be the refresh request or the products request. Yeah? So getting back to this subscriptions options screen, yeah, there's this already subscribe button. And what does this do? Well, usually it restores completed transactions. So you have the transaction observer, and then for each transaction you get a callback that says updated status, da, 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 da. But actually, if we don't have any other consumables, and I don't in this app, what I actually can do is to just refresh the receipt. So instead of calling restore completed transaction, I can just call refresh the receipt. User still gets asked for his credentials. Yeah? He will always do that, but in this case I have a shortcut, yeah? And don't go through StoreKit, but I get a new file and then look at the file. Yeah? So once we have the receipt and we have verified that it matches for the bundle identifier and for the app version and a few other things, how do we know that there is an actual valid subscription? Well, that's quite easy. In this case, my wrapper purchase receipt has got a property in-app purchase receipts. I iterate through them and just compare the first thing that I do is I check for the cancellation date, because in-app purchases can be cancelled by iTunes support. The rules say for subscriptions that they can't be cancelled, but I don't want to be relying on that. If there is a cancellation date in the receipt, then I'm checking is that earlier than now, which is what this line is doing, and in that case, I ignore this in-app purchase receipt. And if the subscription expiration date is after now, say in the future, well, then I know I have active subscription and I can provide the functionality to the user for which he has purchased a subscription. So you know, by now I love auto-renewable subscriptions because it's very little work. Yeah? Once you've figured out a few things, yeah? Once you've figured out how to deal with the purchase receipts and what to do with the legalese with Apple, and you have a nice business case for that, so it's a very good monetization alternative for productivity apps. That's my view that I would like you to subscribe to right now. And as I said, iOS works for you. It does the billing, it does the renewing, it does the expiring. Yeah? And another thing that's great is you can even do free trials. Yeah? You don't need to have some fancy free download and then have a purchase, and well, it's just a single purchase and I never get money again, but you can sort of, for the user's commitment to enter into a subscription, you can give him free time. And I think that's better than other alternatives, particularly for productivity apps. The universal receipt contains all the subscription info you need, so you don't need any special logic in your app to save subscription state in the keychain or on iCloud or something. It's all in this file. Yeah? So that makes it very, very easy and compact. Yeah? And should you ever not feel satisfied with all of this that I explained in this talk, you still have the option of going with a non-renewing subscription. And Apple stresses that this is meant for people who have their own backend, who have user management on this backend, who have payment management. Yeah? And With a non-renewing subscription, then Apple only takes care of the purchase, and you then are able to decide how long does this subscription last, and when you will present the user again with the dialogue, your subscription is now over, would you like to buy a new one? So if you need flexibility, use your own server. Thanks for watching. So we do have some time. Are there questions? Wait for the microphone.
Yeah, I have a couple of questions. The first one is about free trials. Those periods are optional. We can skip them altogether.
Yeah.
And
So
start with...
if you set up the in-app purchase in iTunes Connect, there are a couple of options you can choose. Yeah? You can choose marketing opt-in, yeah? Even though you can choose it. Once you submit the app and you don't choose a newsstand, that's basically irrelevant what you choose there. And the second option is grant free trial, yes or no, and you don't have to have any free trial. It's just, if you, it's basically free to give this special feature to your clients, so they might like it. So that's why I think free trials are a great thing.
Okay, and the second question is, if those terms are not official from Apple, as you say, is it the case that they can modify it or cancel it altogether, and so next year?
Well, they are. If you dig long enough, there are documents on the internet which have all of this text. And if you get a metadata rejection like I did, they refer you to this URL where everything is there. It's just they don't tell you all of these things. Yeah. So that's why I felt it's necessary to put it all in a talk. Yeah? And now that you know that you need these, you just copy them and you're done.
Okay,
thanks. Can you have different prices in one application for subscription? Like you've got a, I don't know, a productivity app with various levels of, I don't know, you've got a
you can
option
have,
for 5, option for 3.
so if you set up the auto-renewing subscription, you can set up different kinds of, they call it families. Yeah. So you have one subscription that has different periods and different price levels, but you can have a second family of auto-renewable subscriptions which have the same durations but different prices.
Okay, thank you.
You set each duration up as its own purchase, essentially. Mm-hmm. Yeah? But in the interface in iTunes Connect, they are grouped as families. Yeah? Anything else? So then, thank you for your attention, and if there are any questions, you can approach me in private.